Welcome back to the Cheer Athlete. Today we're going to talk about the top 25 things that caught my attention at the last cheerleading competition I went to. Yes, this is late in coming out this week, and I apologize for that because uh, it happened because I had a workshop that I put on Wednesday for strength and flexibility for cheerleaders, and it definitely got the best of me. I try to do everything all the time, and I just can't sometimes do it all and get it all done when I'm supposed to. Let that be a lesson. Uh, Try to limit what you are committing to and make sure you schedule yourself in when you need to do a podcast or you need to do a workout. Schedule it in so that you can get everything done. We are all fallible. We can only handle so much in our days, and it's important to keep that structure and write it all down. And sometimes things will get away from you, and you just got to step back up and get it done. So that's what today is. Last Sunday, I had the absolute privilege of going to league competition in Central Mass, and it's the league that I used to coach in, and I loved seeing all the old teams. There's quite a few coaches that are still coaching, and doing a phenomenal job. Their teams are perennial powerhouses in Central Mass, and it's amazing to me to see how that grows and continues to evolve through the years. They're doing so many more transitions and different combinations of stunts and pyramids and the tumbling. Oh my goodness. Some of the tumbling I saw, shout out to that Murdoch cheerleader who just crushed his tumble pass. I thought that was the best pass of the day. Probably the best I've seen in a long time on any All-Star too. So kudos to him. All right, so some of these are what I loved. Some of these are suggestions for improvement. I think they're good life tips on some for just general life tips, and others, maybe things to work on and things to improve. And it really came across in the majority of teams that I saw, in different ways. So take these with a grain of salt. This is my opinion, and it's not a criticism of any by any means. And I'm not calling out any teams other than that Murdoch cheerleader who crushed it. But it's my perception of the competition, and I hadn't been to one in a long time. So a lot came back to me, and a lot the feeling and the excitement of being there, and just like that pit in your stomach of, oh, are we going to keep going on, or is this the end of our season? And that's it's an exhilarating and a soul crushing moment all at the same time. And I totally respect that. I'm going to be reading from my phone a little bit because it's hard to remember 25 bullet points. But let's see how we go. Number one, flyers. You need to pull your legs together. What does that mean? Pull your feet together, pull your knees together. When you're loading in a stunt, when you're tumbling, when you're up on your stunt, get that resistance. Feel those inner thighs squeezing like you've got a ball between them, and use your muscles to help pull those legs together. It's going to make your stunts so much more solid. When it doesn't happen, the bases go out. You are all over the place. And if you're tumbling, it's flailing. You can pull your legs together. It's much more solid. Number two for you tumblers, set your tumbling. A lot of tumbling passes were very low this weekend. And as a coach, I would have encouraged my cheerleader to regress a little bit. If you're trying that back tuck and you're almost there, but you're not quite there, and especially in a competition setting, bring it back down to a handspring. It's better off for you to land your skill than to not be able to set high enough and land your advanced skill, whether it's a tuck or a full or a layout. You've got to set, you've got to use power. How do you get there? You improve your strength and your power. I saw a lot of braces, patella straps, and was one of them, and they are good. I think they can help. If they give you comfort, they're going to help with patellofemoral syndrome, which is a common dysfunction in cheerleaders. It's an overuse injury. It's typically because maybe the muscles on the outside of the hip, the IT band, which is that tight band on the outside of your hip, it actually can be weak because of your hip abductors, your tensor fasciae lata, your glute medius, your glute minimus, your glute maximus. Those can all be weak and contributing to some that IT band is going to pull and tighten and create a different pull on the kneecap so that maybe your quads and your VMO aren't firing the way they need to. So the patella strap can help decrease that pain. But I'm going to encourage you, make sure that you're getting some therapy, you're doing the right work, that you know whether you need to actually stretch that IT band or you need to let that go. Stop rolling it and start strengthening your glutes and start focusing in on where your quad strength is, building that strength to help balance those two so that you're not overusing. It's okay to wear the stuff, straps are probably the least restrictive device that you can wear in a competition or in practice, but they're still they're a band-aid. So do the work and wear them as you need to with the goal of getting out of them. We'll make that flow into my point. This was point 21, but I'm going to move that up. There was a lot of ankle braces and knee braces. So it's important if you have some ankle instability and some knee instability, wearing the braces in a competition setting can be very helpful in providing that stability. Same goes with the patella straps. You need to correct your motion and your stability. In a ligament sprain or strain, sometimes those ligaments are not quite as stable as they need to be. Maybe they may be tight and overfiring, causing pain. The braces will limit your motion and your strength in your plantar flexion, in your rotation, all of which needs to happen when you run, when you tumble, when you jump. But again, in an acute situation and one that you're recovering from, it's likely necessary. So wear them and also work your way to get stronger without them. When I see something, when an ankle brace and a knee brace on the same side, I automatically am going to think, okay, what's going on at the hip and the core? Because if one area is not working right, the area above it is going to compensate, or vice versa. So if the hip is weak, it's going to contribute to knee pain and ankle pain. Conversely, if the hip is tight, it might contribute to the knee overworking and the ankle getting tight also. So, which would lead to sprains. So I look at, are there multiple devices on a person and what exactly is going there? This is what I do. I pick people apart, and every time somebody comes in to see me in the office, I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm going to pick you apart. It doesn't mean that something is catastrophically wrong. It just means, okay, let's look at this and see, can we either correct it or can we find out what's contributing to it to help make that be better? Number 4, what was exciting was seeing the smiles after a team competed and finished their routine, and the hugs that each teammate gave each other, and they were just loving that they hit the best that they knew they could. Sometimes it was an individual cheerleader, sometimes it was an entire team. It's so cool. I think that's one of the best things about being at a cheer competition is watching the smiles and watching the joy that, like, yes, all my hard work, I just paid off and I did it. I think that's so cool. Keep them coming. Even little flyers need to be tight. There's a lot of tiny little flyers out there. And I know that it's easier. I say that in air quotes if you're listening to this. It's easier to lift a little flyer. Yet, if a little flyer isn't holding herself up and isn't tight, pulling those legs together like we already talked about, squeezing those muscles and pulling them up tight, and building that strength to be able to hold up, they're just going to flop all over the place because it's actually harder to hold something that's wiggly and floppy than it is to hold something that's like a board. So little flyers, you also need to be tight. You need to learn how to control your body. It's not just up to the bases to lift you because you're little. You have to do the work and you have to help. It's called a group stunt or a partner stunt for a reason. When you're coming out of your dismounts, this is something that I've been super picky about for my entire coaching career. I don't like seeing dismounts come down that are sloppy. You got to land your cradle and place it out, or land your pop down and get solid there. Finish your dismount, make them clean. That will make your entire stunt routine look that much better. When you come out and you just kind of throw your, because you're rushing to get to the next space, and you throw your flyer or you dump out of the stunt and you just run, it's really, really sloppy. So make their account to be able to clean that dismount and be solid. It will make your transitions that much cleaner, and the whole routine will look and flow better. Sportsmanship. So many teams. This was really cool, and I love seeing it. I hear sometimes in some of the cheer mom groups that there are people that are coming off the floor and like just bad mouthing and dissing people as they're walking off the floor, and that just needs to stop. Like every cheerleader that's listening to this, whether you're a current cheerleader, a parent of a cheerleader, a coach, if you've been near a cheer competition, you know how hard y'all work, and how sometimes it doesn't come across on the floor. And so at this particular competition, I didn't see any of that. I wasn't in the groups. I'm not an individual. Nobody ever came off the floor and told me, wow, your team looked like crap. And thank God, because that's just crushing to anybody, because you work really hard to get there. What I did see at this competition was amazing sportsmanship. One team's music stopped, the entire uh, auditorium or entire gym started counting for them. As the girls were as the teams were walking off the mat, other cheerleaders were, saying, "Good job, well done," nice tumbling, like you hit your routine, congratulations. That's so cool. I think sportsmanship is very important in the world of cheerleading, because we need to support each other. We're holding each other up on the mat. We need to encourage and support each other off the mat. And we all know how hard we work. So keep that sportsmanship up. You don't know what somebody else is going through. So give them that round of, just telling them good job might help to, like, even if they didn't hit the routine, it may help to build them up so that they are ready to go and continue moving forward and stay doing what they love. Um, Number 8, don't rush your routines. Yes, it's hard to focus sometimes, and you're thinking about the next moment. This is one reason I try to encourage us to get in tune with our body, focus on where we're at today. I struggle with it too. Not think about the future, but only focus on where you're at right now. But that's really important in a cheer routine. You need to focus on where you're at right now, not rush to get to the next spot. Even if you're late, try not to be late. Maybe we need to, as coaches, or choreographers, we need to slow that down a little bit so that people have the time to get there, take out one element so that you can cleanly get to your next. When you rush, you miss your setup, you try to catch up in the stunting. Maybe you rush your tumbling and you don't set right, and it just sets you up for more error. So keep it clean, don't rush, keep it controlled, stay on count, and hear that in your head. That's going to actually bring me to, we're going to count at number 9, which I had written down later. But when you're practicing, practice with noise. Get a crowd, get your friends to come in before you go to competition, and practice with loudness, with distraction. Have music playing in the background. Have your fans yelling and, just talking. They don't have to yell, just talk. There was so much noise in this auditorium, in this arena, this gym. And yeah, you could hear the music, but once the crowd gets going, like you're dancing, and other cheerleaders are clapping with you. They're trying to help you, and that's good. But it can be distracting too. If they're not on the right count with your music, it's going to throw you off. So practice with some noise. Put yourself in a situation that you're going to be in, so that it's easier when you get there to actually do what you need to do and focus on that moment. Practicing, we always say you need to practice like you're doing it for real. That's why we practice full out, because when you put yourself into that real situation, you have a better chance of performing correctly and efficiently and better, and it hits. So practice with noise. That's number 9. Number 10 is bent knees. A lot of bent knees. In heel stretches, the down leg was bent. In jumps, the knees were bent. It's easy for me to say to you, don't bend your knees. And your coaches will say, keep your knees straight. The work comes off that floor. It takes work. It takes a long time. It's frustrating. But to gain flexibility and mobility so that you can keep your down leg straight while your other leg is flying up in a heel stretch or in a jump, you have to do the work outside, and it can't be rushed. And you can't do it up in the air. You have to work it on the ground first and then build up into the air. How do you get there? Stretch your hip flexor and stretch your calves. Work on strengthening your glutes, like a single leg deadlift is a great exercise to help work on building that leg stability. And I love step up exercises on a higher step so that you're really pushing through and learning how to control that motion to get a full extended knee while you go up into a stunt. I've never used those stunt flyer stands, but that's probably a great tool to be able to step up and hit. But really working, only lifting your down leg, your flying leg, or your stretched leg as high as you can while you keep that down leg straight. It will come over time if you don't force it. When you force it, it's just going to go backwards. And your jumps, the same thing, building that strength, building leg power, and working that explosive, we call it triple extension, where your toes point, your knees extend, they straighten, and your hips extend at the same time. All of that will help work on getting those knees straight when you're jumping or when you're tumbling or when you're stunting. And I think this is number 11. What I love about high school cheerleading, and no offense, all-star cheerleaders, you guys are amazing. But one thing I love about high school cheerleading is the clean hair and the makeup. It's a maybe it's stereotypical, like stereotypical Barbie. We have this clean, put together look. But it's clean. It looks athletic. We're trying to be athletes. So have your hair out of your face in a ponytail that's clean, that's smooth. Curl. I think curls are okay. I'm not saying curls versus straight hair, but like having the hair clean and put together, that's back off your face. There's not a lot of sparkle on your faces. The makeup was on point. When it's not clubbing makeup, it's makeup for playing a sport. And that's what I think is important. I love to see, is because we want to show our athleticism more than our sparkle. People look at us for the show of cheerleading, but we're trying to be athletes, and we're trying to make people recognize the sport that we are. And to do this, we have to look the part. I know that that's a pain in the ass, and I'm sorry for my language. But we have to look the part. We have to be athletes. If we have to look like athletes, we have to train like athletes. We have to wear the clothes that athletes wear if we're going to be seen as athletes. And that's, in my opinion, that's just the way that it is. Number 12, if you're in the back of a routine, if you're not in the stunt and you're kind of an extra because of where, whatever falls, because it happens. If you're in the back and you don't have a part, stand clean. We can still see you. If you're sitting there and kind of just fidgeting and moving, the judges can see you. The people that are on the sides can see you. And it just detracts, takes away from the actual stunt and the routine. So stand clean. Bring your hands to your side, keep your thumbs in. If your hands are supposed to be on your hips, whatever, just make it clean, stand solid and tight, and don't fidget. While you're there, catch your breath, because I'm sure you're coming up and having to do something hard in the next sequence. Number 11, I already, number 11, I'm losing my count. The next one. Um, I already spoke about this, the Murdoch cheerleader. I had an exclamation point next to it because wow, that tumble pass I think was amazing. They had a co-ed team, and it's only one guy. So, and that in when I was coaching, we had to have two guys to qualify as a co-ed team. Otherwise, it was considered an all-girl team. But he was fast on his tumbling. His height was amazing. It wasn't the spring floor. It was, regular dead mat. And he was doing step outs, fulls, and he did a toss hands to lib. I want to give you a shout out because you hit the lib. It didn't hit as high as you're going to want it to. And it didn't stay there for, you know, a solid 3 to 5 seconds. It was a quick hit and come down, but you hit it and you're making progress and you're in high school and that strength is amazing. My hope that you take away, it's not just a specific team. As athletes, like it takes a lot of hard work. You may not hit where you want to be and be full, extended at a younger age. But that's work in progress. As you progress through college or you progress through your all-stars or as you're progressing through your team, like it's work in progress. This was a league competition. There's 2 more weeks to be able to get and hit that stunt solid. So that's what practice is. That's why you have to go back and work on your routine, and that's why you have to get in the gym and do the work. But kudos for your like for hitting solid. For the stunt came down, but it didn't come down messy. It went up and it hit almost fully extended and then popped down. And I applaud that for saving that and for actually working that and working it in. That I think is an okay stunt to work in at a league level, because it's there. It's just got to get better. So when you know that you have something that's there but got to get better, as opposed to like it kind of hits sometimes but not all the time, that's how you know you can put it on the competition floor or out in front of a game. Um, make your routines clean. I'm not. I am a big vision person. I can see. I'm like I want to see this, this, and this in a routine, and I want to see all this stuff happening, and I want to be able to do this. I'm not a very good cleaner. I wouldn't be the person that you come to if you want to clean a routine. But I can tell you what does not look clean. And when your thumbs aren't in, when you're coming down kind of wobbly and you're just rushing between those transitions. I think it's really important to make your routines clean. And it's also important to bring the wow. If you don't have the advanced level stunts and you don't have the tumbling or the baskets that other teams may have yet, then bring the wow someplace else. Bring it in your voices. Get your voices nice and loud. Be excited when you're talking. Show your enthusiasm in your facial expressions. Make it fun. Make your eyes sparkle. Make your routine the most exciting that you can, because that will carry over, and there'll be more thrill, even with a prep level stunt. So make them clean. That's more important. It's more important to be safe, and it's more important to be clean and make those clean dismounts while also bringing the excitement in your transitions, in your dance, any of that stuff. Make it clean and make it exciting. I did see a lot of creative falls. Now, maybe this is not a good thing for me to like be excited about. There was one fall that came down that I was like, uh-oh. But they got up, everybody moved on, and they were able to continue. One, if you're either a fly or a base and you come down and you get the wind knocked out of you and you can't continue, pull yourself off the mat. It's better for you in your long run, your head, your heart, all of that stuff, your neck, to make sure that you're safe. It's better for your flyers if you make sure that you're safe. It sucks for your team. Yeah. We will tell you like follow through, keep going, but you got to keep yourself safe. Beyond that, if stunts will come down, and when they can come down cleanly, it's that much better. There was a lot of mishaps, stunt, the foot missed the hands on the load in, or what really was the creative falls that I want to compliment are there was a couple of tumbling passes that didn't quite hit, but the person that missed their handspring, like it just barely went, but they missed it, but they did a forward roll out of it. Like it was creative. Like I knew it wasn't supposed to happen, and I'm sure the judges did too, but it was safe, it was clean, and it was, you know, she got right back up, shook it off, and kept going. You could see in her face the frustration, but it was creative, and it was solid, and it didn't bring the rest of the routine down because of it. Things like that's going to happen. You get distracted. You just something's just off a little bit, and sometimes it will happen. But when you can be creative about it, it will make it less angsty. When you can see the light in it, it will make it much better on the whole. So, well done on those. The next one is kids singing. I was standing by. There was a bunch of girls near me, or I think they were all girls. I don't know. A bunch of kids near me, and they were just, listening to tunes in between the routines and singing music with a DJ and kind of just jamming out. And I love hearing that. I love hearing the excitement and the enthusiasm. That's the fun of it, right? They're bonding as a team. They're like enjoying themselves in the moment. Um, so whether you're in the car belting out Kelly Clarkson song, or a Pink song, not Pink, Pink, or Rihanna, whatever song it is, or if you're at a cheer competition doing it, like keep going. Like it brings joy. You might not realize it. Hopefully, it's bringing joy to you at the moment, but it also brings joy to those of us who are watching because it's so super cool, and you made me want to join in. This one's for the parents, and this one's a call out to you guys, parents and the fans. You guys are amazing for being there. Thank you for supporting us. You do an incredible job at supporting us. We are so happy that you're there to cheer us on, and that your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your siblings. We are so excited that everybody comes to watch us. Like that's amazing. Please, for the love of God, don't walk around the event while a routine is in progress. It's rude. It's rude to the team that's competing. It's rude to the other fans that are watching. You're likely walking in front of someone else's parent who's seeing their kid on the floor, and it's obnoxious. There were cheerleaders from the hosting school that were telling people to hold back, and parents and grandparents were like, "Oh, it's okay. I'm just going right here," and then walking straight across. It's just flat out rude. Cut it out and stop it. Be respectful of other teams. You're an adult. And if you're not an adult, if you're a kid and you're, like teach your kids, be respectful. That's a really big pet peeve of mine. And these poor kids that were trying to control it, they're like, what, just because they're a kid, you're not listening to them. That's not fair. Nobody's walking on the cheer mat. Thank God, there was blocked off that way. But be mindful. Other people are watching, and you may not want to sit and watch the whole thing, but be respectful to when a team is off the mat and go in between. There's enough time in between to get away and get off instead of just plowing your way through to get to where you want to go. Rant over. Cheerleaders, when you're on the mat and stunts coming down, whether you're flyer, a base, a back, or a tumbler even, fight for it. Don't give up. Things are going to wobble a little bit. So often we get there and we're like, nope, can't do it. Fight for it. Pull yourself in, get yourself tight, try to stick it. Sometimes it's not going to work. And if you're flailing, good language, flailing all over the place, it's not going to hit. But if you can pull yourself in and you really fight and get yourself as strong as you can and pull in, you can hold a wobbly stunt up. So fight for it a little bit and make those stunts hit. Remember, littles are always watching. There were some little kids right in front of me, between, I don't know, like 2 and 6, and they were just trying, dancing away to the routine. They were into it. they were watching everything that's happening all around you. They're always watching. Those little kids are always watching. They're soaking it all in. They want to be you. So remember that, like, and take pride in that, because you are a role model for someone that you don't recognize, that you don't even know exists, but they're watching you and they admire you and they want to be you. So bring pride to yourself, and show respect for yourself, so that you teach them that, and that they keep learning from you and keep modeling your good behavior, and your not good behavior, but your, well, good behavior, yes, but your how you present yourself as a cheer athlete. It makes me tear up a little bit. I think it's amazing to watch the kids watch the littles watch. And you think of it like, in high school, we used to do clinics for the youth athletes. So my high school tutors would do it for the youth athletes, and how excited they would be to come and see all these, these older kids. And they're not that much older than them, 5, maybe 6 years, but they admire them. They want to be that athlete down the road, and it's amazing. You're always a role model for somebody else, even if you don't know it. Saying that came to my mind, just as in cheerleading, in life, sometimes you're going to fall, you're going to fail, but you got to keep up and you got to keep going. Move forward, take the next step, move to the next transition, and, take a breath and get yourself back in the game, because there's always going to be ups and downs, and things are not always going to go perfect. But when you get back up and you try again, it's the process and the progress and the steps that we take that is the joyful part of life. It's not the outcome, because there's always going to be a new outcome and there's always going to be a new goal. But that progress, and you keep plugging forward, that's what life is all about. If you have an injury, the general recommendations is, put ice on it right away. There's some controversy in there. I've got to look into that more, and this is exactly what I tell my patients. There's some evidence to show that, it's better not to ice right away, because that's when you bring in all the good healing immunities and the things that help to fix all the injuries and all that. Ice is meant to help control swelling. Swelling is important, as to bring in all that stuff, but then we want to get rid of swelling. Ice is excellent for managing that acute pain that happens right after an injury. It can kind of quiet that down and help you to be able to get on. If you're using ice and it's melted, it's been on too long, take it off. Go get a new bag of ice, but give yourself a few minutes in between. You don't want to have ice on for more, like 10 to 20 minutes is max. That's enough time for that inflammation and that to decrease, for that pain to subside. You might want to do it 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off, but you need to give yourself a break. Otherwise, you actually have reverse effects and things will get more irritated. So if that ice is melted and you're just holding on to it, take it off, throw it out, give yourself 20 minutes, go get another bag. Recycle a bag if you can. It's better for the environment. Preach. Let's see. The uniforms. I'm really digging the trends of shorts and our tops. Like, I think that's a definite more athletic look. I mean, I grew up in long skirt time, right down to our knees. I coached. I wanted my kids to have half shirts, because that was the trend at that time. I like a little bling on the uniforms, but not too much bling, but I really like this trend of the shorts, and the crop tops are not, like, I think they're probably easier to move in. We don't see a whole lot of athletes out on fields with sport bras on, so we don't need to do that either. There was some really creative uniforms that or clean, or they brought the sparkle, and they were just a little bit different, and I think that's really cool. Like, a lot of times we all look the same. That's good. That's part of the process. That's part of what cheerleading is. But those ones that stand out are really cool. Like the different color, maybe it's just a little bit different of a color. You have to wear your school colors. but that sparkle in it is really fun and cool. And I did notice, I paid attention to all the different uniforms, and some of them were really very fun, different collars and all that stuff. My encouragement to coaches is, remember, they're athletes. They have to tumble, they have to stunt. Like, we're not out there to look like a runway show. We are out there to do a sporting event. So make sure they're functional for the athletes. And I didn't see any that weren't, but that's just something as you're starting to look at your uniforms next year, remember to think about. Um, bring your feet together, not your knees together. When I think I talked about this a little bit in the beginning, if you're a flyer, you don't want to think about, or actually this is flyers and with jumps, when you're going down into like that load in position, or if you're about to prep for a jump, we want to work on strengthening our legs so that our knees don't just dump into the middle with our feet wide apart. If you're a flyer and your feet are out and your knees are in, we call that a W sit in physical therapy. If you're a kid and you're sitting that way, that puts a big strain on your knees, number one. Number two, if you're a base and you're holding that flyer, their feet are going to go out as they go up, and that's going to push you apart, which makes it harder to drive into center and hold that stunt. So think about having, and you have to train this. You have to train it when you're working your load-ins, but as well as, when you're doing your squats after practice, that you load in with your feet together, your feet and your knees in line with each other. So as best you can, to maintain that, I call it we call it centrated, that your knees, your hips, and your feet are all in one line, as well as that you're getting your body weight, your center mass is right over the center. And if you can do that, that's going to keep everything together and make it that much easier to put up a stunt. It's going to be better when you're landing your jumps. Those patella straps will go away when you strengthen your muscles so that knees don't just dump in. There's a lot of tricks to do that. I will sometimes give some manual cues on the outside of a knee that's doing that, to make sure that you're either pulling away and learning to pull away, or that you're able to, activate and use that muscle on the outside of your leg. People sometimes will use bands around their knees. I don't particularly love them anymore, but that is a great way to kind of just cue those muscles to work in the position that you need to train them in. The last big thing I saw that's different than when I was coaching, it's a new division, at least in Massachusetts, is the game day division. It was so fun. The difference, if you don't have a game day division, the difference that I could tell, and please, if you're listening to this and I've got something wrong, please reach out and just let me know, because I'm learning as I go with the new stuff. So game day doesn't do necessarily the flash of the music and the rapid transitions. It's like we want to present at a game, that you want to see a clean stunt that is crowd oriented, you can ripple up, ripple down, show your transitions. They're still doing advanced level stunts. It's just not as fast as you see on the more traditional competition routine. We divide it as varsity and game day. I think game day cheerleaders should be getting a varsity letter also. So, I don't love the wording on that, but it is what it is. So you have the floor routines are, they're moving. There's a lot of choreography. There's a lot of moving pieces and parts, and everything is all over the place. And how fast can we get there? And how much can we throw up? And how much can we put in? And, can we make lots of transitions up, transitions down? Whereas game day is more kind of like traditional, that you are loading your stunts in, you are leading the crowd, you're using signs, you're using your palms. And people really incorporated the actual game day music into their routines. They would have cueing in the, you're on offense, you're on defense, do this cheer. I thought that was really cool. And then I just loved some of the music, because it brought me back to being on the sidelines, and, and they did creative dances with that. And I think that's a really fun division, because it shows the athleticism, and it shows it maintains our roots at the same time as progressing with our future as a sport. Because personally, I think it's okay to cheer for a game and to be on a competition floor. I think we should be able to do both if we want to. But that's how I grew up. So I see no reason why we can't cheer for another team at the same time as doing our own thing. The difficulty comes in finding the time to do that. That reminds me back to the beginning. We have to watch out for our time. We have to listen. We have to schedule ourselves. We have to pay attention. As I mentioned in the beginning, on Wednesday, I did a live virtual workshop for strength and flexibility for cheerleaders. And I think it went really well. I'm very excited because it's a passion project for me to help cheerleaders learn how to what exercises they need to do, how to incorporate them into their life outside of practice, because it's important to do the work outside of practice so that you can practice and focus your practice on cheerleading. Um, and so I thank everybody that showed up. If you missed it and you're interested, there is a replay that will be available on my website, and I'll have that link below. And you know, check it out. And if you have questions, let me know. If you want to learn more about strength and conditioning for your cheer athletes, reach out. That information is also on that website, and I look forward to helping you there. It was great to be back at a cheer competition. Yeah, I'm not ready to go back and be there all the time. I don't want to be coaching anymore. This is, I think the coaches right now are amazing, and the ones that have done this for a long time, shout out again. You guys are amazing for staying with it, for having that longevity, and for continuing to go and grow your teams along as things have kept going. It's very cool to see the way our sport is transitioning. And we just got to keep it going. So keep your routines clean. I hope those 25 tips of mine are helpful. Leave me a comment and let me know, or send me an email and let me know what your favorite tip was, or one that you're struggling with. And let's make that be better. And know that I support you and encourage you. And I'm cheering for you. If you're competing going forward, if you hear this before regionals in Massachusetts, then go crush it on the mat. And if you're competing in the future, I'm sending you all good luck, lots of clean routines, lots of excitement and fun. Enjoy the process, laugh along the way, sing those songs, and have a great ride. Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe it out. Take life one step at a time. And as my friend Drew Kelleher used to say, you're responsible for your own vibes. Go get the day.